Today we will discuss about electrostatics of conductors. Now we have studied that in the case of a conductor, the outermost valence electrons are responsible for the movement of charges. So in the case of metallic conductors, the electrons are responsible for the charge configuration. Now the nucleus which is well inside and the inner bound electrons, they are tightly bound to the nucleus, they are not at all free. The movement of charges is mainly due to the movement of valence electrons that we have studied earlier. But in the case of an electrolyte, if you consider, there the electrostatics is due to both the movement of positive ions and the negative ions also. There the electricity is due to both positive and negative charges. So here we are going to study only the metallic conductors, electrostatics of metallic conductors. Now we will study 6 important points regarding the electrostatics of metallic conductor. The first point is, inside a conductor, the electric field is always 0. Now, if you consider a conductor, whether it is neutral or charged, if you find the electric field inside the conductor in a static situation, the electric field is always 0. Now, this one we have already proved while in the case of a spherical shell in the first chapter, while applying application of Gauss law. Okay, inside the spherical shell, we have found that the electric field is 0. In the same manner, in any conductor, metallic conductor, the electric field is inside the conductor is 0. And at the surface, it should be having the maximum value of the electric field. Away from the surface, the field goes on decreases. That we know. This is the first point. And the second point, now at the surface of the conductor, the electrostatic field is always normal to the any point on its surface. That means we have a conductor. If you find any point on its surface, and this electric field is always normal to the surface. If it is not so, that means if the electric field is exactly not normal to the surface, then obviously there is a component of electric field along the surface. Then obviously, if you have a test charge, if I want it to move from one point to the another point, then work has to be done. So therefore, it is not true, it is not possible. So the electric field should be always normal to the surface. Now let me explain this one with the help of a simple diagram. Now consider a spherical surface here, yellow surface as shown in the diagram. Now I am taking 3 different points, one on the top and another one, second one at the middle and another one at the bottom. In the top point, the electric field direction should be little bit upwards. If you consider the second point in the middle, the field should be exactly horizontal, and at any point on the bottom side, the field should be little bit downwards. That is as shown in this animated diagram. Now the upper arrow mark, it is little bit upwards. In the middle arrow mark, it is exactly horizontal. In the downward point, the arrow mark is little bit downwards. Now this diagram indicates that if the surface, the electric field is always normal to the surface at any point. That is the second observation. Third observation, the interior of a conductor should not contain or should not have any excess charges in the static situation. That means if I have given some charge to the conductor, additional charges, now those charges will not penetrate inside the conductor in the static situation. Those additional charges only reside on the surface of the conductor. Now this can also be proved by using Gauss law application. Okay. Let me look at the diagram. Now we have a conductor here. Now I am going to give some positive charges to this conductor. Now these additional charges, they will not penetrate inside the conductor in the static situation. They reside only on the outer surface of the conductor. That was the third important point. Now look at the diagram. Those charges, they reside only on the surface of the conductor. Now fourth point. Now if you look at the electrostatic potential inside the conductor, it is constant. It is same as that on the surface of the conductor. The electrostatic potential is constant. Why it is so? Since the field is zero inside the conductor, then there is no opposition to the flow of charges. Then no work is required to do work to move a point charge from one point to the another point inside the conductor. So therefore, the electrostatic potential inside the conductor is a constant or remains the same as that on its surface. As shown in the diagram, field is zero, the potential is constant. The fifth important point regarding the electrostatics of the conductor is the electric field on the surface of the conductor is given by the equation E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. If you consider the surface of a conductor at any point on the surface, we are already known that the electric field is normal. And if you find out the magnitude of the electric field, it is given by the simple relation sigma by epsilon naught. What is sigma? It is the surface charge density of the conductor. In the vector form, vector E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught into n cap. N cap is a unit vector normal to the surface. Now this formula can be easily derived by using Gauss law. For this one, we are going to consider a simple Gaussian surface, which is a small cylinder called pillbox. Now it is placed so that half of the portion is outside and half of the portion is inside. And if you work out the electric field, you will find that expression E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. And the sixth important point regarding the electrostatics of the conductor is if you consider a conductor, if it has a cavity, there is an opening inside the conductor, then in that conductor we are not having any charges. So therefore, the electric field inside that cavity region is zero. Now, since there is no charges inside the cavity, the electric field will not pass through that cavity. That means in simple way, that region of the conductor having a cavity is protected from the external field influence. Now this phenomenon of protecting the region with a cavity from the external electric field influence is called as electrostatic shielding. Now this concept and this phenomenon is used in the case of protecting certain instruments such as galvanometer, voltmeter and ammeter. Now look at the diagram. We have a conductor which is in the blue color. In the inside region, white region, we are having a cavity. In that cavity, the electric field is zero. It is not at all containing any charges. Therefore, the electric field lines will not penetrate in that cavity region. If that conductor contains whatever may be the charges, or if the external electric field is however may be the strong, whatever may be the charge and however may be the strong the external field, no field line this electric field lines or the electric influence will not be penetrated inside this cavity, and this phenomenon we called it as electrostatic shielding. Now here this cavity has the electric field inside is zero. potential is constant as that of the underneath surface. Now this can be used to protect some instruments like galvanometer, voltmeter, ammeter from outside electrical influence. Now these are the 6 important properties of the electrostatics of the conductor. So next we will study about the dielectrics. We are going to make some comparison between the conductors and the dielectrics. Now in the case of a conductor, as we have studied here, the outermost electrons will contribute for the electricity. Now look at the diagram. Now we have a conductor. Whenever it is subjected to an external field, as shown in the diagram, so negative charges move one side and positive charges move on the another side. Here charges means the free electrons. The electrons which are in the outermost orbit, they are free to move, and hence in the presence of an electric field, they move towards the field direction. They move opposite to the field direction. Now look at the diagram. We have negative sign on the left side. That means the electrons are moving towards the left side. The electrons are moving in opposite direction to the electric field direction. And positive charges are moved on the another side. Now this orientation of the free charges develops an electric field inside the conductor. Now we have positive charges on right side and negative charges on the left side. The charge density is represented by sigma free. Here we have written sigma free because it is due to the free charges, not due to the bound charges. So since positive charges on the right side and negative charges on the left side, now these charge densities constitute an electric field. That is induced electric field, let me call it as, which is inside, but it is in opposite direction to the applied external field. Now this alignment of charges goes on increases until the electric field interior or induced field exactly balances the external applied field. Therefore, in the case of a conductor, if an external field is applied, the alignment of free charges are so that the induced field is exactly balances the applied external field, and hence the net electric field inside the conductor is always 0. Okay. Now what is in the case of a dielectric? If I take a dielectric, now we have a dielectric. Whenever dielectric is applied to an external electric field, here also we are getting some charges on right side, positive charges and negative charges on the left side. Now these charges are not due to the free charges what we have studied in the case of a conductor. What happens in the case of a dielectric? Since it is not at all having a permanent dipole, the molecules are getting oriented. The positive and negative charges of the molecules are oriented or redistributed along the field direction, and this distribution or orientation of the molecules constitutes surface charge density on either side. Now these charge densities induces an electric field in opposite direction to the applied electric field as shown in that diagram. E naught is the applied electric field and E in is the induced field. But in the case of a dielectric, not all the molecules are going to orient along the field direction because they are not at all having any permanent dipole moment. A few molecules are going to align along the field direction, and hence they constitute an induced electric field. Therefore, if you work out the net electric field, the net out electric field is decreases. E naught is the external electric field and E in is the induced electric field. These two are in opposite direction. Therefore, net field is E naught minus E induced. So from this one, we can simply conclude that a dielectric placed will reduce us the electric field in the region. Now, before going to study furthermore about dielectrics, we will study about polar molecules and non-polar molecules. Okay. Now, let me take the first non-polar molecules. In a non-polar molecule, the centers of positive charges and negative charges are coincided. The centers of all the positive charges and negative charges are going to coincide, and they are not at all separated by a certain distance. Since they are coincide, they will not form any permanent dipole moment. Now, these type of molecules in which the centers of positive and negative charges are coincided are called non-polar molecules. They have no permanent or intrinsic dipole moment. The examples are oxygen molecule, hydrogen molecule, carbon dioxide molecule, etc. Ammonia, we will use other examples. Now look at the diagram, how these molecules, the centers of positive and negative charges are coinciding. Now take the first case of a hydrogen molecule. Now here in the diagram, we are having two hydrogen molecules. The centers of positive and positive charges and as well as the negative charges are coinciding within the molecule. Therefore, they will not form any permanent dipole moment. If you look at the second diagram, now the second one is carbon dioxide. Now we have a carbon atom here. Now two oxygen atoms are on either side of that carbon. The oxygen atoms are so placed that if you join the centers of these two oxygen atoms by a line that passes through the center of the carbon atom. Therefore, center of oxygen atom exactly coincide with the center of the carbon atom. So therefore, these two are non-polar molecules. Then what about the polar molecules? Now in the case of a polar molecule, the centers of positive and negative charges are separated by a certain distance, and hence they possess a permanent dipole moment. They are separated by a certain distance. Now let me give some examples. The ionic HCl, hydrochloric acid, and as well as this water molecules. They are example for polar molecules. Now look it in the diagram. We have a chlorine, okay, and we have an hydrogen atom. Now hydrogen is having a positive charge and chlorine having a negative ion. They are separated by a certain distance. If you work out the centers of those two positive and negative charges, they are making a certain distance. As shown in the diagram, they possess a dipole moment. As shown in the arrow mark white, that is, it is from chlorine atom towards the hydrogen atom. That is the direction of the dipole moment. In the case of polar molecule, that is hydrochloric acid. Now, if you take the case of a water molecule, now at the center we are having the oxygen. On the either side, not on the horizontal, we are having two hydrogen atoms as shown in the diagram. If you connect the hydrogen atoms, that center is not going to coincide with the oxygen atom. The centers of positive charge and negative charges are separated by a certain distance, and hence H2O is also an polar molecule. That means it possesses intrinsic dipole moment. As shown in the diagram, that dipole moment is from oxygen towards the center of the hydrogen atom. Now that is regarding the polar and non-polar molecules. Now we will study the dielectric in the case of non-polar as well as in the case of polar molecules. Now we have dielectric. Now consider a dielectric with non-polar molecules. What is that meaning? We have a dielectric that contains so many number of molecules. In that, the positive and negative charges centers are coinciding. As shown in the diagram, they are remaining in a same circle. This is a dielectric with non-polar molecules. Now let me apply some external electric field as shown in that diagram. As and when the electric field is applied, external electric field, now these non-polar molecules are influenced by the external field. They tend to separate. The positive and negative charges are going to reorient as shown in the second diagram. In the earlier diagram, the centers of positive and negative charges are coincided. As and when the external field is applied, the centers of positive and negative charges are reorientated along the field direction as shown in that diagram. Now, therefore, they constitute a dipole moment along the field direction. Now, in the diagram, it is shown that all the molecules what we have taken in the left side, they get oriented along the field direction. It is not true. In practical, a few molecules gets oriented along the field direction and others are oriented in different direction. Here we have taken a substance in which the molecules with the non-polar molecules gets oriented along the field direction. Now those type of substances having non-polar molecules, whenever an external field is applied, most of the molecules tend to align along the field direction as shown in the diagram. We call the type of dielectric as linear isotropic dielectric. That is the diagram. What happens in the case of a polar molecule? Now in the third diagram, these are the polar molecules. Initially they are having certain dipole moment, but all these molecules are oriented in different directions so that the net dipole moment is 0. Even though individual molecule is having a permanent dipole moment, the collective dipole moment of all the molecules is 0 because of random orientation. Now, as and when the electric field is applied, what happens? These molecules, they tend to orient along the field direction. Now, this process of orientation of the molecules in the presence of an external electric field is called as polarization. The orientation of the molecules of the dielectric along the field direction is called as polarization. Now we'll study a dielectric. Then the dielectric develops a net dipole moment in the presence of an external field, and the dipole is said to be polarized. The extent of polarization, it depends on two factors. What are those? One is the potential energy of the dipole. Another one is the potential energy of the dipole is tending to align the dipoles along the field direction. The another opposite factor is the thermal energy. It is tending to disrupt the alignment. So therefore, the polarization of a dipole, it depends on two factors. One is the potential energy of the dipole, which is going to align the dipoles along the field direction. The other property is thermal energy, which is going to disrupt the alignment of the dipole moments. Now from this one, we were going to define polarization. Now what is polarization? When the induced dipole moment is in the direction of the field and it is proportional to the field strength, then those dielectrics called as linear isotropic dielectrics that we have studied. Okay. So next we have to study the polarization. What is meant by polarization in the case of electrostatics? Whenever an electric field is applied to a dielectric, the molecules tend to align along the field direction, and the phenomenon is called as polarization. Then the dipole moment per unit volume is called as polarization, and it is denoted by the letter P. The dipole moment per unit volume of a dielectric is called as electrostatic polarization. It is denoted by the letter P here. For a linear isotropic dielectric, that means for an isotropic dielectric, whenever external field is applied, most of the molecules are aligning along the field direction. That type of is called as that type of dielectric, we called it as linear isotropic. Now polarization is proportional to the external field E. If you remove the proportionality sign by putting a constant chi E, now chi E is called as, it is a constant and it is the characteristic of the dielectric, and it is called as electrical susceptibility. Electric susceptibility of the dielectric. Now what is this electrical susceptibility? Let me define that. Let me explain that one. Now it is the measure of how a dielectric behaves to the external electric field. Now we have a dielectric. When an external electric field is applied to the dielectric, how this dielectric is going to behave or responding to the external electric field, and that is measured by a quantity called as electric susceptibility. The dimension of electric susceptibility is L to the power of minus 2 T into A. L to the power of minus 2 TA is the dimensional formula for the electrical susceptibility. Now, we have studied polarization, that means orientation of the molecules. Then, how does this polarization is going to affect for the external field? That means, how does the presence of a dielectric is going to affect the external field? That we are going to study in detail. As already we know that in the case of dielectric, the inside the dielectric, the net field reduces. How it is going to reduce? That we will study. Now consider a dielectric as shown in that diagram. Now it is having so many number of molecules, assuming that these molecules are non-polar. Let me apply some external field. Let me apply an external field E naught as shown in the diagram. As and when the field is applied, that field tends to align these molecules. That means it is going to separate the centers of positive and negative charges of the molecules. They are tending to orient along the field direction and hence induces an electric field inside the dielectric. Therefore, it is called as induced field that we have studied. Now look at the diagram. As and when the field is applied, those molecules which are earlier circular, they are going to form an elliptical shape. That means the centers of positive and negative charges are separated. Now if you consider a small volume element delta V, and if P is the polarization of the dielectric, then P into delta V gives the dipole moment of that volume element. Even though that volume element has zero charge, it is characterized by the dipole moment P into delta V. Now if you consider any two neighboring molecules, there the positive charge of one atom is very close to the negative charge of the other atom as shown in that diagram. Look there, the positive, even an atom is having a positive and negative charges, they are separated by a certain distance because of the external field. The atoms are so closely placed that the positive charge of one atom is very close to the negative charge of the another atom. Therefore, those two charges are going to get neutralized. In the same manner, well inside the dielectric, the positive charge of one atom is going to be neutralized with the negative charge of the another atom, since it is very close, they are very close. So therefore, if you look at the charges, they are going to getting neutralized inside the dielectric. Now the here electric field is applied to two faces, perpendicular to any two faces. But what about the charges at the edges? Now look at that one, as shown by the blue strip. Now at the edges, now these charges are not having any pair. Since they are outer edges, they are not having any pairs. They remain as it is. The inside charges, they are going to make a pair and the charge get cancelled. Therefore, whenever an external field is applied to a dielectric, the molecules gets oriented in such a manner that we are getting the surface charge density on either two faces of the dielectric, to perpendicular to which an electric field is applied, as shown by that blue strips. Now on the right side we are having positive charges, therefore we are having a charge density sigma plus sigma. On the left side we are going to have a negative charges minus sigma. Now these charges induces an electric field, and this induced electric field is in opposite direction to the external electric field, and hence if you work out the net electric field, it becomes reduced. Therefore, whenever a dielectric is placed in between the two plates having uniform external field, it is going to reduce the magnitude of the field. Now this is sigma p. It is the polarized surface charge density on the right side, minus sigma p. It is the polarized surface charge density on the left side because of the negative sign. Now polarization is from left to right, as shown in that diagram. Now we will summarize this concept. A rectangular dielectric slab placed in an uniform external field E naught parallel to two of its faces gets polarized, means molecules gets oriented. The volume element delta V has no net charge, but it has a net dipole moment. At the surfaces, there is evidently a net charge density. That means at the edges, as shown by the blue strip lines, we have the surface charge density. Now this induces an electric field. Its direction is in opposite to the applied field. So therefore, the polarized dielectric is equivalent to two charged surfaces with sigma p and minus sigma p. Therefore, a polarized dielectric, it can be thought of equivalent to two charged surfaces with the surface charge density sigma p and minus sigma p. Now this reduces the total electric field. Reduces the total electric field. So that is regarding the theory of dielectrics.